And to our first debate. In light of the rising attack of dog bites, several such cases which have been reported over the past several months, particularly over a years, especially by pets, and something that has also found mention before the court. The union government has proposed banning over 20 breeds of dogs who, according to them, are ferocious in nature. The centre has written to states urging them to block import, license or sale of such dogs, calling them dangerous for human life, to quote them. Among those breeds which have been identified as ferocious are pit bulls, bulldogs, Rottweiler, Dogo Argentina and Cane Corso. The advisory has been released based on a report by an expert committee and animal welfare bodies which were formed after an order by the Delhi High Court. After all, the dog parents out there and the concerns that are emerging, let's try and explain this to you. If you own any of the dogs that we have mentioned here, specifically the breeds that we have mentioned, there's no immediate worry as such in terms of what would they happen. What we are being told is the letter states that they will be sterilized to ensure no further breeding takes place. But let's just try and understand this from different perspectives. I'm being joined by Abha Singh, who's a lawyer, Sonali Chopra, who's an advocate with the Delhi High Court and animal rights activist, will be joining us shortly. I'm also being joined by Neena Datt, a dog owner, a pet dog owner, or if I may call her, a pet parent, a dog parent. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. Well, first, let me go across to you, Neena Datt. How do you look at this particular letter or an order that has now been issued?
I would say the letter which has been issued,
Neena Datt, if you can hear me?
Totally against the banning of these breeds. Sorry, yeah, can you hear me? I'm totally against banning these breeds. It is we people who are irresponsible for these dogs' behavior. If they are not behaving well, it's the owners who are responsible for these misbehaved dogs, because they are not bringing them up well right from their early childhood. They are not training them, giving them enough love and care, affection. It's always like keep a dog, keep him tied, take him for a walk, give him 2 times meal, that's it. No love, no socializing, nothing. They don't let them socialize with even the family members. They're themselves petrified of their own dogs. So that is not the thing which should be there. People should treat dogs as their family and keep them in a way so that they are not a threat to the society.
Ma'am, allow me a second question. All right, we're trying to patch the line with Abha Singh and as well as get Sonali Chopra on board. But Neena Datt, if I can ask you a second question. You know, there are studies which show, there's also a panel that has looked into this, and there are concerns about some breeds being inherently ferocious. And it's not me who's saying this, but this has gone on record in several instances. How would you look at that?
I would say that they are not inherently ferocious. It is, I have myself got 2 Rottweilers and I've got a number of other breeds. It can, a small breed dog can equally be ferocious if it is not brought up well. So again, my point is that if they are ferocious, it is because of their not being, because of their owners not being able to bring them up well, properly, in the manner which a dog should be treated and should be taken care of. And the other things are associated with it, many more things like socializing them, training them, giving them enough love, letting them mix with people who are coming to their homes. I'm sure the dogs will not
Let me just go across to Abha Singh, but thank you so much for giving those perspectives, Neena Datt. Abha, you know, there's been so much which has been spoken in courts, argued in courts. There have been instances where there have been bites and attacks by pet dogs, including some of the species that have been recorded over the last few months. You have fought some cases. How do you look at what has come up in this particular letter from the centre to the states, particularly with respect to banning, you know, even the sale of these breeds?
No, you're very right. I was representing some ladies from the NRI Seafood Society, New Bombay, where they had been bitten by dog, or they had been chased by these huge dogs, and they had fallen and they had fractured. You know, they in that, and in old age you get your fracture and all is not something to be taken lightly. So I think this order by the government for the agency, it really makes sense. It is very true. We should not have these ferocious dogs living in these closed societies. As it is, keeping these huge dogs in apartments, I would say, is torturous to them also, because they are not supposed to be cooped up in small flats, which I feel makes them even more ferocious. In fact, the case in which I was representing, these dogs would be sitting in the parking areas, and the moment people would come to start their cars, they would jump on them, or if they were walking in the gardens, they would attack them. So it is necessary that action needs to be taken, and it's high time the government also woke up. In fact, the BMC in Mumbai, it says that licensing has to be done, listing has to be done, whether they've been vaccinated or not, that has to be maintained. So I think now this order saying that huge dogs like Great Danes or Bernard Shaw or whatever, these ferocious dogs should not be kept in. So I welcome that. It is high time that other states also follow this.
Okay, Sonali Chopra, you're an animal rights activist. We've discussed this before with you as well, but help us to differentiate here at this point. Because in this letter, the wordings are very clear. They're talking about ferocious breed, and they list out those breeds, and they talk about being dangerous to human life. How do you look at this? And could you explain this?
So for me, I don't understand the definition of ferocious dogs. Like one of my co-panelists said, that any dog can be a ferocious dog depending on the training that it receives. However, the other co-panelist also makes a point that these dogs, because of their size, their breed, their innate nature, should not be cooped up in small apartments as we have in Delhi. They require their exercise, they require a lot of training, which may not necessarily be easy to give. So I like the ban, but not the intent. Ban being, I like the fact that there's going to be a stop to breeding. I like the ban because there will be sterilization awareness that is increased by this. However, I do not like the ban for the reason that it is categorizing dogs on a basis that I don't see has a logical sense to it.
Okay, Sonali, is it correct that there are some breeds that are inherently considered ferocious? Is this factual?
I have not come across it. I have interacted with many dogs. I don't think you can divide them in such categories based solely on the breed. I think my co-panelist says she has.
No, again, I'm reiterating my question here before I go to Abha for her to counter. I'm again asking you this question also to get a clarity on it, because we've often come across, and as this letter states, also other reports that have been out, that there are some breeds that are ferocious. Training may help them deal it better, and that's why training becomes very important. Again, I'm asking you, are there breeds such as that has been categorized with the center's letter that are ferocious by nature?
I disagree with that categorization completely. It cannot be breed-based, solely
Abha Singh, how do you look at this categorization? Because the argument is that any dog can get ferocious, and with a good training, any dog may just be as any dog is meant to be. How do you then differentiate what is a ferocious breed, as the letter does, and as the demands have emerged at several instances?
You know, as simple as that. If you have a tiny dog, a pom, can you think a dog can kill you? Can it rip you apart? But there are these huge dogs which have killed. In fact, nobody can forget the old woman in Lucknow who was absolutely butchered by her dog, you know, because he was there, the dog was there in the house and she got no help. So ferociousness will be on the way they have attacked people, the way their size, their teeth, their jaw, all that has to be taken into thing. And I'm sure these 15 dogs that have been given as ferocious, the tag which has been given, it would have been done by the Animal Husbandry Department after due diligence, after going into their antecedents, precedents, how many attacks have been done, and so many small children have been killed by these dogs. How can we forget that? So I think this demarcation, this tagging is absolutely correct, and you cannot say that a small tiny pom cannot be called ferocious because it cannot kill me, it cannot just throw me apart, rip me apart. So I know dog lovers have their own say, but you have to go by the facts of the law, you have to go by the facts of the thing. And when these dogs, by their size,
One question, and this
attacks,
is also important to bring in perspectives. You may ban
attacked,
certain breeds because they can be more threatening, but there have also been instances where strays have attacked, where kids have been mauled on the streets just for going to shops or going to homes, and they've been mauled, dragged. We've had at least 2 instances in just last week, and there have been CCTV image footage. So a categorization like this, do you see it help?
See, of course, the categorization is specifically done with the purpose that in residential areas, in flats, they would not be kept. So there, this is going to help. Now, if you come to strays, the strays may not be that big a dog, but a group of them, 7, 8 of them have attacked children and dragged them away. And that is why these residential societies and people are fighting. Forget residential, even people on the road are saying we should not have an unlimited number of strays roaming around, because the moment there are 8 to 10 of them, they become violent and they feel that they can really attack you.
Okay, Neena, that last question, do you have any concerns? Because obviously dog parents, when they travel, when they go for vacations, they would be bringing, you know, they fly their pets with them. In some of these cases, they may be pets that may be listed in this category. How do you look at the challenges that may crop up in this particular case? I guess a certificate of sterilization should help. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Yes, you can do that. We can do that. A certificate of terrorization should be there. And if a dog is a threat, if a dog cannot, if a dog is a threat to people, then I think so they should, means there are certain dogs which are, no matter how much you take care of them or love them, but they are ferocious. So in that case, we have to take this into consideration, that there should be
but
some
you know,
kind
how
of
do you differentiate
control
it then?
over
If you're saying
these
something
type
like
of
this,
dogs.
Ms. Neena, it's very hard to differentiate it, because you generally see something of the extent of ferociousness only once something happens. And then it becomes too late. So how do you really, Sonali, why don't you respond to, you know, something that Neena has just brought out? It is difficult to differentiate or look
Yes, what
beforehand
I
into
want to
something
say
like
is,
this, except for looking at it hindsight. And that's where this
when these
categorization
kind of
helps.
incidences, when these kind of things take place,
Neena, I know you've
then
spoken as a dog parent, and very fairly, very genuinely.
The owners have to take the onus of these type of behavior of the dog. I have to say that only.
Okay.
The owners who own the dog,
All right,
if their
Sonali,
dog is
how do you
doing
look at this? I mean, it's an important point. You know, everything can't be hindsight. Something has to be preventive. And isn't this list part of that, as the center would claim? Before I go into Abha for the last word.
So like I said, I support it and I still don't support it. I am sterilization, absolutely. No breeding is a great welcome change. Not just for the dogs named in the list, but for every dog. I think that is one solution to the entire problem. Secondly, I've said it before, if you have a dog, you know its innate nature. You know whether it is a ferocious dog or not. The pet owner will know. And that's when the responsibility is on the pet owner. No, we can't push it on the dog. We can't push it on anybody else. And even now, with this list as well, the onus of sterilization and ensuring that these guidelines that have come today are actually implemented falls all on us. Now, I don't know how we are going to ensure that every dog that falls into this list and exists in the country as on date is sterilized. So this is just the beginning of another long battle that we have in front of us.
Okay, Abha, just 30 seconds or a minute to you, Abha, before I move on. Just one thing. How do you implement this? Because, you may say so many things, but at the end of the day, you have these breeds that are abandoned. They are forsaken. There is no one to care for them at times. They are aggressive. There's no time. Sterilizations don't happen. So a letter that is out. But again, the challenge, as Sonali says, is a different ball game.
Number one, sterilization doesn't take away the ferocity of a dog. So if these dogs are termed ferocious, I think they should be kept away from these societies, residential areas, because sterilization is one important issue, but it does not just stop the attacking of these dogs on young children or, whatever. Secondly, it is very true, you may get any number of guidelines, but it is the apathy, because this is in the concurrent list. Sometimes you say public order, so then if I would say right to life is a fundamental right, and if these dogs are killing me or killing my children, then the state should come forward and protect me. So that is the time the center and state need to come together. The Animal Husbandry Department, pan-India, there has to be a willpower. Till the time they don't throw the responsibility on the center versus state, or between pet owners and dog owners. I said it's not a tussle. It has to be a combined effort to make life safe.
Right. Abha Singh, Sonali Chopra, as well as Neena Datt, thank you very much for joining us with your perspectives. We do hope in the long run there would be solutions that would ensure safe spaces for humans as well as animals. Thank you very much for joining us. It's time for a short break. Do return for something that is going to be a big issue in days to come, the election or the appointment of the election commissioners.